It's coming for you. The second year slump. It's common among PhD students, and in this video we're going to talk about the 5 ways that you can get yourself out of that second year PhD slump. If you're new to this channel, please remember to subscribe and hit that bell notification because I am going to share with you all of the insider secrets about doing a PhD and making your PhD work for you. All right, let's look at how you can survive your second year slump. The second year slump is a common feeling among PhD students, and I think it can happen for a variety of reasons. The main reason, I think, is that it's no longer new, fun, and interesting anymore. Like, 1 year is a long time, and the kind of 1 year of doing a PhD is quite interesting because you're learning new things, you're working with new people, you're navigating a new university or new system, you're making new friends, you're finding out more about this research subject, and it is just a kind of fun time. The first year, there's no doubt about it, is probably one of the best moments of a PhD because it's all fun, it's all new, it's all interesting, and nothing's really expected of you. Like, this is the time for pure exploration. Whereas in the second year, I think that's where people start feeling like it is getting serious. It is time to focus on that thesis and those papers and really getting something out of why you're doing it. You know, like, it is the time where a lot of people feel the pressure to produce. And I think that is the primary reason for why the PhD slump happens. That, in combination with the fact that probably nothing at the moment is working or has worked. The first year is about failure. Like, the first year is about going in, trying new things, failing a lot, and maybe at the end of that first year, before going into your second year, you're looking at your results and you're like, I have nothing I could report. In fact, one of my supervisors said to me, wow, you're lucky, you've got something you could put in your thesis after your first year. And I think a lot of people aren't in that situation. The third reason that I think a PhD slump can happen is that really your ego is no longer being stroked. It is not new for other people outside of your friendship group. Like, what I mean is, when you say, I'm doing a PhD, people go, oh, that's amazing. You must be clever. And your ego's like, yes, I am so clever. This is why I'm here. But after the first year, you realize that it's hard work. Maybe you're getting that sense of imposter syndrome creeping in if it hasn't already sort of like reared its head early on in your PhD. And it is a time where people just go, oh, he's doing a PhD. Like, it's no longer new and interesting to anyone else. It's just like, that's what you do now. And that can really sort of like play a negative role in how you feel about yourself doing a PhD because no one's excited for you. Now it's just part of who you are. You've been doing it for a long time and you don't get that same buzz from someone telling someone else, oh, that they're doing a PhD. Ooh, no, it's now serious time. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 ways that I think you can combat getting yourself away from that second year slump. And I think the first thing to realize is that it is a real feeling. It is something that a lot of people feel, but there are ways to get out of it. A PhD is a struggle, and this is one of the biggest struggles you can face. The first thing I want to talk about is making sure that you realize that this feeling won't last forever. It may feel like this feeling is going to last for the rest of your PhD and you'll never get it done and that it's always going to be miserable from now on and nothing will be exciting ever again and no one will be interested about your PhD and your supervisor will never care, and all of these things can just feel like they are going to last forever. Trust me, they're not. I think the human brain has this kind of amazing capacity to kind of trick you into feeling that way just because, you know, your mind and your brain's primary purpose is to protect you and keep you alive. And the way it does that is by noticing all of the negative things that may harm you. And because we no longer live around predators, it is now telling you that your PhD is a threat to you and that you need to do something about it. So a few little things. Go read that book. So go check out my other video where I talk about the books you should read. And the last recommendation is all about looking after your mental health and making sure that you realize that this is just a stage and it's not permanent. And I think that will be probably the first realization when you find yourself in your second year slump that will make you go, okay, I need just to work proactively. I need to just keep doing what I'm doing. And it is something that a lot of people feel. I'm not alone. And yeah, it won't last forever. The second thing I think you should do is all about planning. To get myself out of a slump, I like to look at all of the things I need to do and then look at doing them slowly and steadily. Not all at a rush, not all together, just one thing, one time. 1 hour and a half on one thing, evening or afternoon, another hour and a half on another thing, and just do that. So what I like to do if I feel a little bit of a slump, it probably feels you're lacking purpose. It feels like you're lacking direction. So take a moment just to list out the next weeks and maybe months, if you can do that, to say, okay, these are the things that I need to achieve in the next 6 months, and just sort of put into action the small steps that you can do to get you closer. Now, I know when I meet up with my mentors that if I'm feeling like pretty unmotivated, pretty down, they do always ask me to just think about your purpose, think about why you're doing this. And so that often involves me, saying, I need to achieve these things. This is why ultimately I'm doing it. Go back to why you actually started doing a PhD and then make those tiny, tiny, tiny steps just to get you to the point where you need to be in a few months' time. It's going to suck because you're not going to feel like you're going to be able to do these things, but little by little, 1 hour every day towards a certain goal, and you'll get there, I guarantee it. So plan out the next few weeks. The third thing I would recommend is communicating with your supervisor. Supervisors can be a little bit more old school when it comes to mental health. At least that's my experience. They're just like, I dealt with it, you deal with it. I am embarrassed and maybe confused about why you're telling me this, but it is important to communicate how you're feeling with your research supervisor. So I recommend you go in and you just say, look, at the moment, I'm finding my PhD very hard. I'm finding my PhD very overwhelming. I just need a couple of days or a couple more weeks of support from you, and then just come up with a plan with them. Maybe you meet up every other day. Maybe you meet up more than you usually do. But that kind of goes into the planning bit, I guess, because if you meet up with your supervisor, not only have you got a little bit more accountability, but they'll be able to help just reassure you that you're on the right track and that you're doing the right thing. So yes, communicate with your research supervisors. If you have more than one, communicate with the one you feel most comfortable with. And if you're lucky, that will be both of your PhD supervisors if you've got more than one. So yes, communication and just letting other people know how you're feeling will help, and they will potentially be able to support you in getting you through that second year slump. The fourth thing I recommend is looking for complementary skills for your PhD that you will actually enjoy learning. Now, I talked about in the first year of a PhD, everything's new, everything's fun, you're learning new things. Maybe you're learning about a new area in your field. Maybe you're learning a new physical kind of experimental technique. You're learning about a new microscope. And, that's really fun, getting trained up on all of these different kind of new, exciting skills and instruments and whatever. But in the second year, you kind of feel like, okay, I'm just going to do this over and over again. But there's no need that your learning should stop. There's no need why you can't continue to learn fun things about your field. Now, it's important to enjoy the journey of a PhD, and by learning new skills throughout the entire PhD process, hopefully you'll be able to inject that new excitement that you got mainly in the first year. So look for something that you will enjoy firstly. So don't just like learn research writing skills or statistics skills or new instrument skills just because, but look at something that you will enjoy, and the perfect Venn diagram is something you enjoy with crossing over with something that will benefit your PhD. If it doesn't necessarily benefit your PhD, that's not a problem if you can use those skills in an industry or career outside of academia. Now go check out my other video where I talk about after a PhD, the career options that I've seen people sort of go into. And it could be something that in your second year, you could start to build those skills alongside doing a PhD, but please don't let it distract you. Remember, your main goal here is to get a PhD through thesis or publication, and any complementary skills that you want to build for your career later on should be done, you know, say 10 to 20% of the time, definitely no more. And hopefully that will inject a little bit more excitement into that second year and get you out of that second year slump. And the fifth thing that I would say is maybe you're feeling like this because you are feeling like your PhD is the only thing in your life. And I know in the US, all the commenters on these videos are talking about how it's 6 to 7 years, and in your second year, it still feels so far away. I mean, in the US and the UK, in the UK and Australia, it's about 3 to 4 years of PhD. And in the second year, it kind of feels doable. You know, I finished my PhD in 3 years and I was like, 1/3 of the way through, great. But yes, it could feel like you've got so far to go, but you could feel like you've given up so much of your life already to this bloody PhD. Now, what I recommend is you take a hard look at what you're actually doing and you try to find a bit more balance. Remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And no matter how much competition there is, no matter how much pressure you feel to always be doing your PhD, you have to take time for yourself. And I guarantee you that by protecting yourself, you will protect the quality of your PhD. I guarantee it. In the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People is another book that I read about a year ago. They were talking about protecting the production capacity. So you have to produce your PhD, but to be able to do that, you have to protect you. You're the only person that is able to do this PhD. And so by protecting your health, your mental health, your capacity to actually produce this PhD is one of the only ways that you can guarantee that you will enjoy the journey, that you'll get there, and that you'll survive the long time it's going to take. So yes, it could be that you are suffering a little bit in terms of the balance. So go and check to make sure that you are looking after yourself. Spend time in nature, spend time with your family, spend time with your friends. That is how you protect your production capacity to complete your PhD. It always feels like a step back. Like, right, when you go, you know what, I'm going to take the afternoon to look after myself, you feel guilty because you're like, I should be doing my PhD. Like, that's why I'm here. But no, that afternoon is going to enable you to do much more efficient work later on. So do take the time. Yes. So there we have it. There are the 5 things I think you can do to protect yourself and survive the second year slump. It is a real thing, but let me know in the comments if you've experienced the second year slump, and let me know how you have dealt with it so other people can also benefit from your experience. Thank you so much. If this video has been helpful to you, please remember to subscribe and hit that bell notification, and I shall see you in the next video.